Today, crypto markets cool following the post-election rally. SEC Chair Gary Gensler reflects on his role at the SEC, and John Wu of Ava Labs discusses what's driving the performance of altcoins. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. Crypto markets on the retreat today following the post-election rally. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell 3.5%, bringing it under $90,000. Ether also dropped around 3.5% to $3,172. And Ava Labs' Avalanche token fell 5.8% to $32.72. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Senate Republicans have chosen South Dakota Senator John Thune as Senate Majority Leader, and he might be an ally for crypto. Coinbase-backed advocacy group Stand With Crypto gave him an A rating, saying that he strongly supports the industry. The organization cites his support for overturning the SEC's Special Accounting Bulletin 121, which gives companies guidance on the handling of customers' digital assets. Next, federal law enforcement raided the home of Polymarket's CEO Shane Copland. Reuters reports agents demanded Copland's electronic devices as part of an investigation into whether the platform allowed US-based users to make bets on the site. Polymarket is, of course, the crypto-focused betting platform that gained attention for showing Trump with an advantage in the 2024 election, while national polls showed a tied race. On X, Copland called the raid a, quote, last-ditch effort for the Biden administration to go after companies it deems political opponents. A Polymarket spokesperson also claimed the raid was political retribution because Polymarket correctly predicted the outcome of the election. The Department of Justice declined to comment on the raid and the claims made by Polymarket. Last, SEC Chair Gary Gensler delivered a speech at a legal education conference reflecting on the agency's accomplishments under his leadership. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to fire Gensler on the campaign trail, and while he likely can't do that, he can appoint someone else to lead the agency. While Gensler didn't say he was resigning this morning, he called it an honor to serve with members of the SEC, which he has led since 2021. He also doubled down on the agency's crypto stance, saying that courts ruled many tokens, other than Bitcoin, are securities and therefore fall under the SEC's purview, which has made him an enemy to many in the industry. All right, let's get back to the markets for our main story. Crypto World's Mackenzie Sigalo spoke with John Wu, president of Ava Labs, to get his take on the recent performance of altcoins and what the incoming Trump administration means for platforms like Avalanche.
Okay, so let's start with markets and specifically with price moves in altcoins. We've obviously seen this huge post-election rally across the crypto market with those smaller cap coins leading gains. But there's been some question about whether the bull run will consolidate to focus on the larger tokens like Bitcoin and Ether. How are you thinking about prices right now and whether rising tides lift all ships will last?
Well, I do believe rising tides lift all shifts, Mackenzie. I don't have to think about prices, luckily, because I'm an operator. But I will tell you, I used to be a hedge fund manager. When the operating environment is good, usually asset prices follow. And since about last week in the elections, what we've seen is the amount of inbound applications that want to develop on blockchains and traditional finance companies that want to deploy on blockchains and Web3 have increased tremendously. I would call it an institutional unlock. Today, for instance, we just announced at Ava Labs that BlackRock is going to tokenize their treasury bills, treasury fund on Avalanche with the help of our partner Securitize. So that's an example of things that are really moving forward and accelerator since the election.
So what's the largest driver of the rally? Because really, as you said, you're not thinking about prices, but those altcoin surging is really a reflection of optimism about the underlying businesses are able to do. So is there a particular policy unlock that's a real game changer for your business? Or is it just that banks will more easily be able to have exposure to this sector without worrying about regulatory blowback? What's the big change here?
It's all of that, but I think if you have to narrow one, and one that's the most important, it's clarity for stable coins. Stablecoins has had some researchers have said that there's more settlement on stablecoins on chain these days than that of the Visa network. And if you get that going, the tokenization of value and moving value around the world should bring down costs. I mean, you've brought information costs down to almost zero through the internet. The Web3 and blockchain and crypto is supposed to represent value transfer in an efficient way and bring costs down that way as well. But yet today, it's still 2.5% for credit cards. It's $25 for wire. and it's also a lot more for foreign exchange, cross-border stuff. And remittances are 10 to 15%. That's part of the excitement, and it starts with stablecoins.
So I know that lawmakers have been actively seeking out the guidance of people within the industry. Stablecoin legislation definitely top of the agenda as soon as that new session gets underway. I'm hearing that it's pretty unlikely that it would happen during the lame duck. Are you advising any House representatives or senators on this bill in particular, or any other topics related to the crypto industry and what they're considering as they head into the next session?
We're a technology software services company. We're agnostic, but we obviously talk to people, and we have our in-house general counsel. We work on association groups, but we're not really directly talking to DC, so to speak, but we work through association groups.
And focusing on this next Trump administration and what it means for blockchain developers, some people I've spoken to are relieved that they can spend less money and time on lawyers and more efforts and energy on R&D. How is Avalanche thinking about its strategy starting in 2025, and how are you feeling about the landscape for the industry next year?
Well, Ava Labs, the team behind Avalanche, who help companies build on top of the permissionless blockchain Avalanche, we've always been, a technology company. We want to serve as many enterprises as possible, both crypto native as well as call it, TradFi or enterprises. The way we think about it is if there's more certainty, it's a lot easier. And we were too busy to begin with, but now the amount of inbound inquiries for more development on Avalanche has only multiplied. So we're obviously happy about the new environment, but regardless, we don't really want to think about how regulations go. I think there was just generally an institutional unlock that has been fantastic for Ava Labs.
So BlackRock has really emerged as the face of institutional adoption in the crypto sector. It's surpassed Grayscale as the largest digital asset manager in the world, and its spot Bitcoin ETF now holds more than $40 billion in assets. You've been working closely with their team on these new product launches. Tell me what that's been like.
Yeah, in fact, I think their BTC ETF is now greater in AUM than their gold ETF. So you have to credit Larry. 2 years ago, he's affectionately called a no-coiner in this space. But about a year and a half ago, he really changed his tune and fully embraced the technology. He's been out there. He's been on your show and on CNBC in the past talking about how tokenization is a tremendous innovation that's going to bring forward the entire financial services industry. So I think the great thing about what he's doing, tokenizing treasury bills right now, it's going to be over 500 million that he's doing so far, and even more going forward, is that he's actually eating the dog food himself. And I think that is the best way to participate in Web3. It's a participation sport, and just having an ETF is good, but working in the space, using the technology, that's what we ultimately want.
Now, our audience, and especially those traditional Wall Street investors, want to know what the big unlock is for them. What's newly going to be possible under a Trump administration? Is that banks being able to custody Bitcoin, collateralize it? Walk me through what you're working on that'll be relevant to traditional firms that want to dial up their exposure to crypto.
So that's a great question. I mean, I think people are trying to get ahead of the Trump administration already because of all the rumors about reserve currency for Bitcoin. So people are trying to get ahead of that. But really, it's usage. I mean, Detroit has announced in 2025 they're going to accept cryptocurrencies as a way of payment for taxes. I think today the Pennsylvania legislators are trying to pass bills that allow crypto or Bitcoin to be a reserve. So we're going to see more and more states trying to use crypto in various ways, similar to what you've seen in emerging markets. In Argentina, for instance, and Ava Labs just had a summit down in Argentina. Basically, 30% of the people in the country, because of inflation, because of instability of other things in the country, they transfer their pesos right into cryptocurrencies or go to a black market and transfer into dollars as fast as possible, but they have to pay a huge premium for the dollar. So in the rest of the world, the adoption has been happening. And what we're excited for is things like that's happening in Detroit or Pennsylvania. And if you follow the operating momentum, that's the best way to decide which alts and which assets you want to be participating in.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We're back here again tomorrow. We'll see you then.